Trail's kind of the broadest of the categories.
It's kind of
because it flirts with everything up to that XC race, all the way into, you start to toe into toward that all mountain
and
category.
It's the newest as well in terms of vocabulary that's been thrown about to try to classify bikes and types of riding.
You're right. It's the newest way to talk about it, but it's like it's the oldest sort of form of mountain biking.
But it never really had that name before.
No, for sure.
You know, nobody was calling it trail because there were XC bikes, and then there were originally there were free ride bikes, and then components and suspension and frame design started getting better and lighter, and you could start to actually pedal these bikes more. It wasn't such a gravity focus, but there was still a focus on a robustness and more travel. We had XC, we had all mountain, and then as technology has progressed, we've added trail into the mix.
And when I think of trail, I think of fun, and I think of balance. Looking at ascending and descending in a similar...
Climbing is as important as descending.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is, I think there's a big social piece of it, riding with their buddies. Yeah, more about, I think, just fun aspect of it, riding to have fun.
And that's where talking to a customer and knowing what they want, like, hey, what do you like? Like, what are you wearing? What kind of driving? What kind of TV do you watch? Because it might matter. And like, it's not really total performance level most people are buying from a bike shop at retail. It's like, what's gonna make you happy, and what do you gonna wanna go ride? You know, what are you gonna be stoked on? Like, it matters in how pumped your customer is gonna be, I think.
One thing that I was just thinking about is like versatility. Like when someone comes in, I think that's a big component of what a trail bike is. Like being able, even at an entry level, you have options to upgrade that bike. You have options for tire sizes, even wheel size changes now, and like things that you're not gonna get in an XC bike or an enduro bike because it's so specific to a racing format.
That technology that's built into the downhill bikes and built into the enduro bikes and built into the XC bikes, that will trickle into the trail bikes and the all mountain bikes, which are a lot of times the better suited to the average rider and the trails they're riding at their local hills on.
That's true.
Whereas it may be like, yeah, you can buy the enduro bike and ride it around all day on your trails and have a great time. And if that's what you want, do it. But there might be a bike with a slightly more conservative geometry or part spec.
At the same time, though, you have on the Enduro World Series circuit, you have riders, depending on the course, choosing trail bikes.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
They do. I mean, the first round, you know, call it one brand here, but the Yeti guys, they raced a 127 mil travel bike.
Which I think we would all agree.
We would all agree that's a
trail bike.
That's a trail bike. But the way they built it and the way they rode it, and a lot of that has to do with like, if you're a pro athlete, you can ride a 2x4
pretty good.
and make it look good, right? I mean, but I think that also proves just how versatile all these bikes are nowadays.
Well, I think that like trail is kind of the sweet spot for most buyers.
Trail's everything.
Because it's not as specialized.
Drop your mic and throw it on the ground.
Yeah. For trail, I think for me, you know, if someone came into my shop and said, hey, I'm interested in a mountain bike, do you want to do cross-country races? Do you want to do the local Buck Hill Wednesday night race? No, I'm not really into racing. Okay, this person automatically, boom, trail category. We don't know yet if they might be an all-mountain rider, but if they're not a cross-country racer, then we can put them on squarely in the trail category. Yeah. It may not be that thoroughbred cross-country bike, but it may be a short travel trail bike where it is a 105 mil travel or even a 100 mil travel bike, but it maybe has a slightly more relaxed geometry, or it's that 120 mil travel bike or 110 mil travel bike that isn't quite as expensive and as light as a cross-country race bike, because to them that competing on a weekly or a monthly basis, it's not a priority for them. So there's probably a better bike suited to the experience they're looking for that's a little more comfortable for them, both in terms of ride feel and wallet, that's not a thoroughbred cross-country race bike. And that, to me, that's where trail starts. And then like the spectrum above that is that user could crawl all the way up to an all-mountain category. Just
I think
depends.
that's an important distinction you made there, though, is if somebody walks into your shop and they're looking for a mountain bike, but they don't have a lot of mountain bike experience, short of them being an incredible off-road motorcyclist, you're not going to sort of graduate them to the all-mountain category. Yeah. Because there's a certain skill set and aptitude required to ride those bikes.
I think there's still a geographic component and terrain component to that, though. Like, you might be doing a disservice putting someone on a really short travel bike, even if they're a beginner, but knowing the terrain they're going to be riding, or if they come in, they're like, hey, this is my local mountain resort. This is where I'm going to start mountain biking. Like, it doesn't necessarily hurt someone to put them on a little more travel.
Well, so like if you think a talented rider could probably ride any trail on a rigid bike, and like is a 125, so 120 or 130 bike the surest bet for someone you don't know? Like, hey, I'm buying a mountain bike and I can't tell you where I live. It's top secret. Did you just like send them on a 130 dual sus bike and a hardtail if they don't have the bread? Be like, that's probably going to be okay for you enough to go.
I would agree with you.
Or like, what would it take for you to sell them one way or another? I wonder.
I think if someone came into a shop and didn't know what they wanted at all, find out, do they care more about momentum and efficiency and confidence, or do they care more about playfulness and flickability, and are they going to dance around more? Because I think that can help you decide if they're going to be more suited to a 29 wheel or to a 27.5 wheel. The 29 being more stable, it's just going to go over and through stuff, and then the 27.5 is going to be a little more playful, a little more flickable, and so someone that comes to you from a non-biking background that's into, like, say, cross-country skiing or running marathons or triathlons or something, they may be, I'm really going on a limb here, but generalizing, but they may be more suited to like a 29. Whereas someone that comes in and says, I've snowboarded for 15 years, I want to get into mountain biking. Well,
or they rode a BMX bike.
Yeah, they may be more suited to the 27.5. And then we're not even talking about hardtails or suspension yet, just figuring out wheel size.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't talked about hardtails at all yet. And like, that's where like I immediately go, because of the kind of the price to entry and then what you can do with it, like the upgradability of a hardtail, like the fork,
the versatility.
Wheel size. Yeah, just like, and you can ride anywhere. And I know tons of people, really experienced rider, like that's the bike they're never going to get rid of. So if you start on like a good platform, like you can keep that bike and build it into anything you want. Like I ride my hardtail all the time around here. Now it's just like you kind of start to ride these trails a lot, and like we start taking more trips. We want to go do downhill riding and do whatever. Like I ride my hardtail around here all the time. Like it's my bike that I just grab and go. And that bike could have been bought sub 1,000. You can also put a spec on that, like well into the several thousand, like make it what you want.
Yeah, hardtails are versatile because they make great starter bikes because of price point entry. And then, yeah, a lot of people, they'll graduate to a suspension bike when they know more about how they ride and what they like. Mm-hmm. And they'll buy a suspension bike suited to that. But then you keep the hardtail, and it's like your backup bike, or it becomes your single speed, or it becomes your commuter. Like, hardtails are pretty versatile.
There's a lot of merit to actually learning to ride on a hardtail or even a fully rigid bike, too, because you actually...
BMX.
You have to
be a better rider.
You learn to be a better rider. It forces you to learn to be a better rider.
Yeah.
There's also the go-kart mentality of having fun on a bike that maybe isn't as capable as you are. And so it's fun to be pushing the limits of something versus, a very capable bike can be boring to ride because you never get out of control until you're falling off a cliff. Yeah. There's also less maintenance. There's also like resale. There's also a lot of stuff that's like, hey, it's just fun to like chill out and do this. There's also the training aspect of like learning how to ride.
And then there's like the whole Plus thing. Like, how does that work?
Yeah, and Plus has got a couple of things going for it. One is casing size, so comfort, like you said. So if you back down the air pressure, you do get a softer ride. You get a more forgiving ride. And there's fast rolling, lighter plus tires, and there's heavier, gnarlier tires. And as you go to a gnarlier plus tire, you're just adding the traction. So you're paying the price for weight, you're paying the price for width on the bike, and but you are gaining traction. If you're riding narrow tires and finding yourself getting stuck in ruts, stuck in rocks, stuck in logs, and like I just want something that rolls over, there's that too. And for some people, it's both. So, I mean, I kind of like, I'm on the fence depending on the bike and the trail and everything, what I want to ride. But like, I think everybody should try it because there's definite benefits and definite drawbacks. You know.
Big thing that gets me though on the plus thing is tire pressure makes a huge difference for every ride.
It's a good point, and it's really, you know, if shops are selling plus bikes, they really owe it to themselves to make sure they're educating consumers on how to adequately.
Well, and sell them a air pressure gauge. You know,
Yep.
sell them a pump. Be like, you should check your pressure. You know, every ride. Like, you know, if you rock,
I don't even check mine all the time.
if you rock 11.5
squeeze.
psi on a certain tire, it's a basketball, and if you drop it to 10, it's like Velcro.
It's also like it could be seen as like the vinyl hi-fi of stuff where it's like you can get more if you're willing to put that in, but if you're not willing to put it in, it could just, you're paying a tax for it. You're paying this blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's annoying to people that don't understand it. You're like, what's up with those plus bikes? And some people that get it and just don't maintain it, they're like, I don't even get it.
That may not work best for them.
Yeah,
So
so like just
vinyl high five.
vinyl hi-fi. I mean, like,
Oh.
if
You're
you're playing
young
like
for that. You're too young for that.
I thought you were
son.
talking high five.
No, we're talking records.
I've got a turntable. I've got a
if you're going
turntable.
through all the effort to like clean your records and get them down and get all your stuff straight, it's like, yeah, you're getting more out of it. But some people just do the Bluetooth and you're done, you know. So like, if a customer is not into
I saw an
checking tire
article that
pressure,
said
I'm analog.
CDs may have better sound quality than records.
I think it's subjective. I don't know if we need to get. We're diverging.
All right, God, good.